Hi there, it's Emma from Misfit Gardening and welcome to my homestead garden. Doesn't look like much right now because I'm kind of standing on about 2.5–3 feet of snow. We've had some warm days, so things are starting to thaw out, but as you can see, it's going to be a little while before I'm able to get out here and start planting. And one of the first things that I need to do once the snow melts is build more no-till garden beds. I managed to get some in fall, and that's the footage that you're going to see is how I built my no-till raised beds using nothing more than some cardboard and wood chips that I already had on the property. You don't need fancy things to be able to put together a garden bed. And honestly, when I was putting together my garden bed, I didn't have any compost. It wasn't ready yet. Now it's frozen and I'm not going to be able to do anything with it right now. But even come spring, I don't have enough compost to really be putting on a decent sized garden bed in here. So I'm going to be using the same technique that I'm going to be showing you in this video to put together the garden beds that are here. Part of the reason why I'm choosing to do a no-till garden option is it keeps down the weeds. The first garden that I put here was a in-ground dug-in garden bed, and I will put the link to that video somewhere up here. That particular garden did very well. However, it was very quickly overrun with weeds because that soil was disturbed. Everything that was lying dormant in the soil suddenly got some sunshine and started germinating, and it took a lot to keep the weeds down. I was putting a lot of wood chip mulch out there to try and keep the weeds down. It also was very labor intensive to, keep weeding everything, and a lot of my time was spent weeding rather than focusing on getting more things in the ground or working on some other stuff that needed to be done here on the homestead. It'll really help if you have a stack of materials on hand. Now, there's only a couple of things that I have available at the moment on the property, and that is wood chips and cardboard boxes. So that's what I'm going to be using. Cardboard is great when it comes to building your no-dig beds. I've been saving cardboard for most of the year. I've had cardboard donated by my neighbours, and now I'm going to put it to use in making a garden bed. And you can kind of see the one behind me. There's just flattened out cardboard that's there, and that's really as complicated as it gets, is flattening out cardboard. So we're going to be putting in quite a lot of beds. So let's get to it. Grab your cardboard. I was quite lucky. I had a roll of cardboard here, so it was quite easy for me to roll this out. But if I was using cardboard boxes, I would flatten them down and then I would be overlapping them to try and reduce the space where weeds could get through. And then the next piece is really just shoveling wood chips on top. Now, this particular piece of cardboard is thicker, so I was able to just put the one layer down, and I tend to put about 4 inches of wood chips on top of my cardboard. So that's all that I'm doing here. I'm just readjusting the bed and putting more wood chips on top. So that's really as complicated as making a no-till bed is. And then you will want to water things down to kind of hold everything in place and allow that cardboard to decompose. Here I've got another bed and the wood chips are at the end, so I'm just using a hoe to move those wood chips down the bed and cover that cardboard. So over time that cardboard's going to break down and you can plant into that soil. You can plant straight into this garden bed too. You just need to cut through that cardboard. So you get a little bit of an understanding of the lay of the land. South, north, east, west. So I have decided to do my beds so they run long ways. So my beds are running east to west rather than north to south. The main reason for me doing that is to be able to get more light on everything because I've got trees either side, you can see I've got a lot of trees on this side, and there's just as many trees on the east side. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning here, and we're past the autumn equinox, so the days are definitely getting shorter and the shadows are getting longer. So as I'm kind of looking at things, like, this is sort of the worst case in terms of like how shady things tend to get. In summer, I know by sort of 5-6 o'clock I'm starting to get quite a lot of shade over in this back portion, but in, you know, early mornings and stuff in the summer, over this side tends to get a lot more shade, but there's quite a way that way before we really start getting into trouble with the shade. But honestly though, the main reason why I've decided to run my beds from east to west is because I'm actually on a slope, and I have a north facing slope for the back of my property, which isn't so great to garden on, because it's north facing, it's usually colder, but really because I'm on a slope, I don't want to be having things that are going this way, so north to south, because I'm going to end up with a lot more problems with erosion and water moving, you know, the soil and things further down the hill. So if I have my beds going this way, east to west, and then I can be able to work on sort of bolstering things further down, so I'm not losing soil and things when, you know, I'm getting heavy rains and stuff, because, you know, water and gravity naturally want to come down. So that's how I've had my beds set up currently, and you might be able to tell that these are in like they're connected, so there is a long line back here. There is a bed that runs north to south, which is this one right here that I'm standing on. This bed runs north to south, and this is kind of like the main backbone of a lot of the garden bed. This bed is one that's going to be accessible from both sides, so we're going to be having these long legs coming up. We're like, you know, a number 3 or a giant letter E, but with more bits coming up on them. And this is a U-shaped or a keyhole bed that I'm doing here, so reducing the amount that I'm losing to pathways. Really what I'm looking for in the pathway here is that this is big enough to get mower down into it, so maximizing our space and making better use of our time in our garden. So what are you going to grow in your homestead garden?